Over the years, Nigerian women have incrementally made impact in the growth, development and uplift of the Nigerian nation. Among the Committee of Nations, like all other women across the globe, they are also faced with prominent issues such as gender-based violence, unequal remuneration, lack of access to quality healthcare, limited representation in leadership roles, workplace discrimination, unequal participation and division of domestic labor, limited access to education, and limited or non-exposure to reproductive health services.
There have been a lot of barriers, whether you talk about financial barriers, cultural barriers, and the barriers of patriarchy, which tends to inhibit women's participation in the political process. If you look at the political parties and how they treat the candidature of women, you would see that women don't have that equal access and they fall into that whole substructure we refer to as the marginalized groups in the political process. So in terms of their participation, therefore, I won't say it's the performance of women per se, but it is the nature of the political structure and the superstructure that has actually prevented their active participation in the process.
Globally, in Africa and in Nigeria, concerted efforts have been made and is still being made to stem the tide of these issues and position women to attain their pride of place and ladder of progress and development. Various programs, policies and initiatives are being formulated at a global, national and subnational levels.
Madam, how many years are we in this car?
The outcome of these interventions has been the systematic, slow but steady progress in the lot of women and the full realization of womanhood. Recently, the annual International Women's Day was celebrated in Nigeria, as it is observed the world over. Success of women were highlighted and showcased, and positive strides aimed at resolving well-known issues affecting women who were mainstreamed with a view to strengthen advocacy, develop workable frameworks to addressing them, as well as bringing them to the fore, to the attention of policymakers, opinion modelers, the legislature, and well-meaning Nigerians.
Two women affected my life politically. Both of them are late, or three, should I say. First is my mom. My mom has been one person that has encouraged me even at my lowest level. And there's this particular word she normally says, Hakuri, that is when you are patient, you will take the largest chunk of your. And pain is part of success. So you will strive. No matter the pain you're going through. It will be for a moment, but one day it will be over. Lately, when she heard about my activities, political activities, she sent for me. And when she saw me, I think she was taken aback and said, the way I saw you, you continue on that. It's courage. And the next person was the most hour, still again in the Nigerian academy. She helped me when we went to Zaria. She said, you went through pain, you hear my story, you will cry. Probably it's because of you, some of us are going through this pain. So don't let us down. Service to human being has paid off. And some of us too want to leave a legacy behind you.
Yeah, I find you, I give you all you need. I know.
In the fields of arts and entertainment, Nigerian women are holding their heads high. Awards, laurels, and recognitions have been won and are still being won by Nigerian women in a digitized and interconnected world where a golden fish, like they say, has no hiding place.
My heart is beating so fast. I'm so sorry. I do work out. But it's not coming, it's not showing up right now. Wow. Dear God, thank you so much for putting me on this stage and bringing me this team.
Aside the music world, female artists evolve, inspiring concepts and innate creativity in their artworks and are a force to reckon with in the world of art.
I titled this work Solidarity because, it's beautiful to see women come together. Back then, it wasn't easy to see women do things themselves because of societal pressures and limitations. As you can see around, we have so many beautiful artists exhibiting with amazing paintings around. And so this symbolizes collective strength. It symbolizes celebration of women and the great things that women can do when they come together.
With all these successes, achievements or accomplishments, it is not yet uhuru for the female gender in Nigeria. According to the Nigerian Women Trust Fund, representation of women in leadership is extremely low. According to the Rights and Gender Advocacy Group, Nigeria ranks near rock bottom worldwide for women inclusion in national parliaments.
And if we are arguing that we are the giants of the African continent and we are the champions of democracy, which is about inclusion, which is about participation, which is about carrying along all the voices in civil society, then it will show that we are not doing well as a country that wants to project itself as a champion of democracy.
Poor representation in legislative and executive positions experienced by Nigerian women has been a recurring decimal since the return of democracy in 1999.
And the flag of the Armed Forces as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic.
Analysts are of the opinion that the ratio keeps depreciating, implying that concrete and actionable steps are required for women to occupy elective and appointive positions in the nation's political landscape.
We do not see the passage of laws as silver bullets that will solve all of the problems. There are also cultural and societal norms that inhibit women participation. For example, we have seen sometimes in communities in Nigeria where a woman wants to come out to contest for an elective position and she's targeted with misinformation, she's targeted with abuses, she's targeted and told that she cannot participate because she's a woman. So we have to adopt the whole of government, whole of society approach to galvanizing women participation in our polity.
Nigeria's National Gender Policy of 2006 requires the government to be proactive in its commitment to addressing challenges affecting women and to ensure the mainstreaming of women issues in the formation and implementation of all programs and policies. The reality is that the impact of this policy is yet to be felt or translated into measured and calculable results for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerian women.
So the sentimental issue, usually based on religion, is what is really hampering the hopes of women. Like when I was going for my election, that was what was used for me. For me when it was used against me. And even in Adamawa State, in Kaduna, it didn't fly. In Adamawa State, it did. And where is she coming from? They used the women to achieve that. So one of the things I told women is it's not about me. It's about your child tomorrow. It's about your daughter. So if we don't try to start to see how we can fuse our differences and fuse it into our sisterhood, our motherhood. We won't go anywhere. But the most important thing is that once we were alert and we become alerted, and we can now move as a team, and definitely the sky will be our limit.
2025 marks 30 years of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which, according to the United Nations, a visionary blueprint for achieving gender equality, women's and girls' rights all over the world. The conference marked a turning point for the global agenda for gender equality. The Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action, adopted unanimously by 189 countries, was an agenda for women empowerment that is now considered the key global policy document on gender equality.
Over the years, I remember even from 2003 when I was still in my second term in the House of Representatives, we tried to say we can push the community actually into the Constitution of Nigeria. But we always be having a big wars. But I want to applaud the present Senate President as His Excellency Parliament, who happens to be Senate President of the 10th Assembly, which has been a special space in the National Assembly for giving to women, which obviously it has to work on the 35% of the elected. But we're not asking for special seat, we're asking for equal opportunity and equal rights for women to participate in governance and in bringing about good governance to our country.
It is aimed at gender mainstreaming, giving clear mandates to nation states, obligations that they are required to meet. Now, in spite of the various issues affecting women in Nigeria, experts are of the opinion that more women are stepping into entrepreneurial roles, breaking barriers, and making significant contributions to various sectors, including technology, finance, agro-allied industries, education, information and communication, as well as manufacturing.
I think we're doing the actual age over. And I was asking the girls, whose father is a driver among you? Nobody. None of them raised their hand. Who has ever hawked bread among you? Nobody did that. Nobody's. Whose father is the guy here? Nobody did that. But I just look at it, it will surprise you that I'm seated right on the same seat with my father being a driver of my driver, who happens to be the former head of state and all of the girls know that. I said, you wouldn't know me, but my father told me that. Being a pool driver, the former head education SRT, so I think the head driver, most of all this, he is the one that normally drives them when they were in town or in town. I said, here I am today, a daughter of a driver, seated beside a former daughter of a former head of state and now the first lady of the state. And then, my father too is a driver, but you understand? But I said, don't be ashamed of where you're coming from. That will propel you to where you will be tomorrow. So if you think about yesterday, which is not a good thing, and you are ashamed of it, you might not reach your set goal.
We believe strongly that there has to be a move from tokenism, that's giving tokens to women, because that is what is currently obtainable. Women are just like, okay, afterthought in the political process. So whoever wins now says, okay, this is what I want to do for women. We should now move to a more institutionalized approach to empowering women and getting them into the political space.
Building on these modest achievements and successes recorded requires salient, conscious and intentional actions, such as providing platforms for the mentorship of budding and promising female entrepreneurs, creating access to funding and grants, creation of networking opportunities that will play a crucial role in the advancement of the lots of women in Nigeria, amongst others.
I remember when I was contesting the House of Representatives from Kaduna State, And most of the supporters that I encouraged were women. But they don't follow women. What are they saying? That we need to get someone that can give our children hope.
There's also the need for far-reaching reforms. The political parties are actually convening platforms for people who want to access power. So if women are also not able to participate in the political parties and they are not able to get access, they are not being nominated as candidates in elections, it also creates a problem. So there should also be affirmative action within the political parties. So we should have our electoral act have in place certain kinds of provisions that ensure that a political party nominating so number of candidates must also have women quota filled.
Moving on, our country, Nigeria, is in need of embracing or adapting a cultural paradigm shift towards recognizing the value and potential of women vis-a-vis leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Their complementary and supportive roles should be well harnessed and utilized.
The thing that we need to do as the men is that we have to believe in our women. We have to believe in our girls. We have to believe in our daughters. Give her a fair ground that she can do better than the women. Obviously, in school, girls have done better than the men. If a girl child can do better, perform better in class, so why do you think she cannot perform better when it comes to political activities? Well, it is the government that needed to have the political push, the political will, and even if you pick one per state, you have 36 senators, you pick maybe 3 per senatorial district. In the House of Representatives, you have 108. So, two governors did that in 2003, and that's why we got a lot of females in the House of Representatives. The highest was in 2003. Kaduna State and the present president, Lagos State, when he was in Lagos State, are 3 females.
Even our traditional institutions have a role to play in the enlightenment of the rest of their communities to help them understand that women can also play a role in leadership and overcome those norms that stifle, that serves as obstacle that limits the participation of women. So we also have to deal with issues, for example, campaign financing. Now, the cost of participating in politics is so enormous that many women who are already supporting in terms of their family duties and all of that are not also able to afford the very high cost of nomination forms. The campaign financing mechanism has also become a major obstacle to women participation because the typical woman will say, where will I find the monies to be able to participate? So we also have to address all of those very exorbitant campaign finance costs. And part of doing that is that the monitoring of the campaign finance threshold of political parties has to also come into play. When you have money bags come into the political parties, they price the nomination forms away from everybody. And then they buy that space, in a sense. They practically buy the space. And genuine people, genuine citizens who want to participate in the process, particularly women, are not able to compete because they are outmatched when it comes to being able to commit financially. It's not the current method in which, again, there is a tokenistic approach whereby they will say, okay, we gave free forms to some women. No, the women should be able to pay for the forms, but it should be an amount that, because when they give the forms free, when they are now asking somebody to step down, is that person that was giving free form that is, the first person they will go and ask to step down. And so that is not effective. The women should also be able to make a commitment, and then that commitment should afford them a level playing field to be able to go out there and canvass for votes and compete.
Furthermore, strong advocacy and far-reaching reforms are required at the level of policymakers in all tiers of government, ensuring that women issues get the due recognition.
We simply need to pass legislation that energizes affirmative action. Affirmative action is already there in the international community, it's already there in international treaties, And that's why it was quite unfortunate that the last Senate rejected the 5 gender equal opportunity bill. The fact that the onus is on the current National Assembly to quickly look at those bills and then move in the direction of passing those bills to create special seats for women. That even countries that are looking up to Nigeria, they have done this. For example, in Sierra Leone, they had to ensure that the political party system has a quota for female representation. As the constitution amendment is going on, we need civil society voices to clamor for the affirmative action in the constitutional amendment process, such that you now have special seats for women to raise the number of their participation in the legislature, and also in terms of appointive positions. Because right now, the appointing powers that is being used with discretion. We should now have this codified in our laws, such that we now give women that active participation that they deserve to contribute their quota, their enormous talent and their enormous capabilities to the development of our democracy and ultimately to the development of our country.
Women in legislative or the executive positions should be viewed from the lens of countries making giant strides, like Finland and even Rwanda on the African continent. Both countries have significant representation of women in their parliament, creating certain quota for women in their House of Parliament.
We have to start mentoring kids even from schools. We have to start to tell them the advantage of what nation building is all about, how they can contribute to their own culture in their own spheres of life. And once you start doing that, the girl child will start having some certain confidence and some certain assurance that once if the time comes for her to launch out, you know what will investigate her.
Nigeria, given its profile in the Committee of Nations and given its manifest destiny, cannot afford to continue to leave its women behind, and it cannot afford to continue excluding the women from the critical levers of power and decision making.
Furthermore, the need for women to solidarize, explore, and exploit their numerical advantage in advancing their political interests cannot be overemphasized.
And then there is also a generational question. It's a key generational question with respect to women participation. Because when we talk about women, we should not just bundle everybody into one box. There are, of course, the older women who are, trying to participate in the political process. How about the young women, the youth, who do not have a political experience, who do not have that political know-how yet they have that leadership potential and they want to participate. So we should have training and mentoring programs, that kind of networking, that kind of convening where more experienced women in politics, even as few as they are, can actually mentor the younger ones so that you can have a critical mass and you not have a situation in the National Assembly, in the Senate particularly, where you have just 4 women out of over 109 senators. Same in the House of Representatives, where you don't even have up to 15 women making laws for Nigeria. It means that the issues that are dear to women, the issues that affect women directly, would suffer in the legislative agenda.
Politics is a game won on the basis of numerical strength. Exploration of these assets positively will go a long way towards ensuring that Nigerian women positively embrace up in the governance of the country.